Good evening and welcome to the Kim B. Davis Show. I'm your host, Kim B. Davis, and this evening we have one of our favorite guests on. We have Mr. Eric Harp. He is our certified professional fitness trainer and educator. And this evening we're going to talk current events and we're going to talk about, can someone exercise too much? Good evening, Mr. Harp, and welcome to the show.
Well, Mrs. Davis, I'm always glad to be here. So thank you for having me. I
No
hope you've been
problem.
well.
I have. Have you been well?
Oh, well, the life is good. I've been all right. I've been blessed.
That's a good thing. And when the hand of God is upon you, that is a wonderful blessing.
Come on, and you better not fight it either.
That's right. You bet not. All right, so let's get to it. It's a whole lot happening. Man, how many more hurricanes are we gonna have? It's like October. We just had Hurricane Helene, which they were talking about the storm surge, they were talking about the intensity of the storm, and now we are watching Hurricane Milton. And I am Mr. Hart. I haven't lived in Florida, so I can't really say what I would do, but I'm going to say what I would do just because I'm sorry. They say that the storm surge is greater than anything that they've seen. It's greater than Helene. And they were saying that storm surge for Helene was 20 feet. Okay, that is a wall of water coming towards you. We've seen some video online, when they have hurricanes in different places and everything blows, and then you see afterwards the toll of destruction in its path. And I'm just like, man, talk about it, Mr. Hurt.
Well, first off, let's pray for the people that are down there, and hope that they have either evacuated or found some safe place to be.
Right.
And also for the knuckleheads who think that they can just survive it. I hope that they listen to their governor, listen to the weather people to say that this is a Category 5. And listen, I have some students right now, and they're interested in the hurricane, for different reasons, but they're interested in learning about these hurricanes. And to see their faces when they learn that a hurricane Category 3, Category 4, Category 5, and how fast the winds are going, and think about the destruction that it brings with it. And we see it on the news. We see the aftermath. We see people who've lost their lives come home or come try to find homes, I should say, that they just lost, or looking for loved ones who they have no idea where they are, no cell phone service, no comforts of how we do things at the current moment. So, it gets sad. But nature is amazing. You just gotta respect it. You definitely have to respect it. And this is hurricane season. We have devastating hurricanes every year, every 2 years, that do this type of damage. And so, to see what we can see right now with all the video footage, the phones, the GoPro cams, and everybody has their angle and everybody shows from their perspective, from each person's perspective of the damage that they're facing. I mean, it's jaw dropping.
It is, especially when you see
jaw-dropping.
alligators swimming down streets or swimming through water that was formerly just a road that people were driving through. And then you see sharks. And it all makes sense because it's the ocean, but you don't think about it because you're like, that's the main highway in Tampa or whatever road that is. And that's a whole community and it's completely flooded. And now creatures from the ocean are there where people are supposed to be.
The ocean and the land have come together.
Yes,
and
definitely.
And what it's going to push onto land. It's amazing when you see the video of how much sand that the ocean just pushed onto what was people's houses and onto the roads and the stores. And these type of events, and from what I've learned while teaching my students, that we have hurricanes every year or 2 years, like I mentioned, but these cataclysmic events are 100 years apart in certain areas. So this one coming through Florida, this part of Florida hasn't seen it in 110 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, but now this cycle has come back and it's going to do the same devastation that it did 110 years ago
Mm-hmm.
when they didn't
Mm-hmm.
have the type of infrastructure that they have right now.
You're right.
So I just hope that people get out. Hope that people can find a safe place. I hope that, just like the people there hope that it might veer this way or veer
Mm-hmm.
that way so it doesn't do as much damage as they anticipate. But they say it's going to be a big one. And this is the second one.
Right. This is
This is
right
the
back to
second
back.
one,
My,
back to back.
one of my fears, I was watching the tracker for the hurricane, and I said, it's still over water. What if it turns just slightly left? Then we're back looking at New Orleans,
Yeah.
Texas, Alabama, all those states. I was like, whoa, this is just it's rough to be a coastal city off
Well,
the ocean.
this one that we're watching right now, this Hurricane Milton, from the tracking, it's gonna hit the west part of west part of Florida over Tampa Bay, and
Mm-hmm.
then it's going to continue over the rest of the state with rain and heavy winds until it picks up water again on the other side.
Yeah, right.
So not only Florida, but we're talking about places like Mexico, Cancun, Mexico, those
Mm-hmm.
islands, the
Mm-hmm.
small islands that are in that part of the Atlantic, and ah, wow.
Yeah.
That just devastation. And
Mm-hmm.
once again,
Mm-hmm.
praying for those people and hope that they'll be okay and that their families have some way to communicate and find out the status.
Absolutely. Sending our prayers out to all of those that are impacted. So now we're going to turn our attention to the saga that I can't wait for it to be over, election season. You know, the negative attack ads, the AI, the lies, all the inconsistent statements. I'm just worn out by all of it. I continuously have conversations with people. Someone will say something to me and I'm like, "Where did you get that from? Who told you that?" And
Yeah.
and they want to justify it. I'm like, "That's not true. That didn't happen. Stop saying that. No one stole the election. The migrants aren't coming here to take your job. You know, what are we talking about?" Talk to us about the election campaign season. And I know there was just a vice presidential debate. Did you get a chance to watch? I watched it
I
briefly.
did.
Okay.
I did. All right. So, I mean, as far as the bombastic personality that Trump was, we didn't see that in this particular debate. In fact, what started off a little, you know, contentious, turned into both of them just respecting each other. Well, you know what? I agree with you on that one. However, here's what I say. Well, you know what? That was a good point, and I agree with you. However, here's what I feel. And that's how a debate usually should go.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the gotcha moments, the ones where, well, I got you because you didn't answer that one correctly, or you said the wrong thing. But the biggest gotcha moment is when, Tim Walz, Governor Walz of Minnesota, he said, can you unequivocally answer right now, did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election?
I missed that part.
Crickets.
I
And
bet.
then he was like, well, and he's well. And then Walz was like, see, he can't even answer that question,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And of course, that'll get the viral moments.
Mm-hmm.
And the Republicans use the other quotes for viral moments. But here's my biggest thing. All of this attack. All right. Donald Trump and his running mate, JD Vance, have been calling her comrade and calling her
Yes.
fascist and calling her
Mm-hmm.
uh, communist all campaign season.
Yep.
And then turn around and cry foul that they're the ones that have turned the Trump campaign into communists and make people want to shoot at them
Right.
twice. Now,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't shoot at him twice, but let's just say 2
Yes.
assassination
Yeah.
attempts. And
Yeah.
again, this has been played up, and we talked about this on the
Mm-hmm.
past episode.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I believe that this was a staged event, like many of his events
I
that
do
staged.
too. Mm-hmm. I agree.
In fact, let's fast forward a little bit. Um, a new book has come out, or 2 books are coming out. One by his ex-wife, or his current wife, I should say, Melania Trump.
Melania. Mm-hmm.
And in her book, she's standing, for women's body autonomy.
Mm-hmm.
And she says that she believes that women should have the right to choose what they want, the right to abortion, and to have the choice over their own body and not the government. And so, which is, not aligning with her husband's, stance.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then another book by Bob Woodward,
Mm-hmm.
which is on its way out. Now, for those who don't know Bob Woodward, one of the greatest writers, of our times, who has uncovered many secrets, and of course with the Nixon,
Mm-hmm.
uh, O.J. Simpson,
Mm-hmm.
um, a whole lot of our royalty, superstar celebrities. He's found out, been riding shotgun with them and write book about them, good, bad, and ugly.
Mm-hmm.
So in this particular book, he's writing about Donald Trump. And he's talked about how he's been keeping in touch with Putin and how he's been saying some wild, foul things about what's been going on over the last 9 years. And now they want to talk about how he's crazy and that he's not credible and that only Trump can do this. Trump's even out there on the campaign trail saying, I'm going to save you. I'm going to protect you, women. You have nothing to worry about, while not giving any kind of clear plan on what he's trying to do for women, at the same time claiming I'm the one who got rid of Roe v. versus Wade and did
Absolutely.
everything that you wanted
Mm-hmm.
to do and brought it back to the states. So how
Mm-hmm.
could you hate me? Because I gave it to the states.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a wild, wild west going on. He even started faking his crowd members.
Mm-hmm.
So he was just here in Detroit.
Yep.
And while he was here in Detroit, he rented out a non-union place,
Mm-hmm.
brought in non-union workers,
Yep.
and then gave them MAGA T-shirts that said "Auto Workers for Trump."
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
they wore this while they stood behind him while he was on camera.
Yep.
So now he's faking the support of the auto workers here in Detroit,
Mm-hmm.
so that everybody who sees it on camera says, "Oh, those Detroit auto workers are definitely for Trump."
Not at all.
I mean,
Not at all.
again, this is the game he plays, and
Mm-hmm.
he's a television guy.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's a television guy, he hires TV producers, and those TV producers put on a show for him.
Mm-hmm.
And the American people who keep following this just have not woken up yet.
Right.
You know? It's sad, truly sad.
It is. So I have a few things to add to that, Mr. Harp,
Yes,
and I want to
yes.
get your thoughts. So at the rally, I believe it was here, the one
Okay.
in Warren or Mount Clemens, someplace, not necessarily in Detroit proper. There was a African American Trump supporter that showed. You remember
Yeah.
he was attacked by the other Trump supporters. They were saying that
Yes.
he was the only person of color there, visibly, I guess you should say, the only Black person there. And several people attacked him, and it was a serious beatdown. I bring that up because Trump did an ad or was having a conversation with somebody, and he kept saying, I just learned that Kamala is Black. I didn't know she was Black. She just turned Black. And I'm like, why are we even having this conversation? Seriously? Do we have to have this? And I understand America is as racist as it is sexist. I get that. But it is frustrating because we can't move on. And for everybody that says that we need to move on, well, your fearless leader keeps throwing it in our face and we keep seeing it. I find it reprehensible that Springfield, Ohio, the Haitian population there, faced extreme prejudice, acts of violence. There were schools that were threatened to be bombed. Government offices were threatened to be bombed, and all these institutions had to be closed because the Proud Boys, who don't look like you or me, Mr. Hart, were marching through the streets with guns. And their angle was, as J.D. Vance or as Trump said, they're eating the cats and the dogs. The lady, I guess the lady who initially started this on social, this is why you can't believe everything you see on social media, who started this said, well, I didn't realize that the cat wasn't missing. Apparently the cat was in the house. The cat was, nobody could find the cat because the cat was hiding someplace. I said, but now you put a target on folks' back. And this lady, who was one of our non-melanated cousins, came out and said, look, I'm not scared of the Haitians. I'm scared of the Proud Boys. And she said, and as a white woman, she said, these people look like me. She said, that's the problem in my community. She said, yes, the Haitians are straining our resources, but she said that's a different conversation because then we're talking about resources. We're not talking about a group of people that shouldn't be here. And for everybody that keeps saying they're here illegally, no, they claimed asylum.
They're not.
They're not. They
Well,
claimed asylum. And the United States has granted them, I guess it's like a temporary until they figure things out because they can't go back to Haiti because of the warlord. I find it interesting because there was a woman, this is my last point. There was a woman who, because Haitians, a lot of them speak French, was screaming in her native language, leave me alone, just let me go, because she was afraid someone was going to kill her child. And JD Vance said, I will continue to make up stories to get attention for the
gonna get
American
your
people.
attention.
Did you
Yeah.
hear that? Yes. I will continue to make up stories. Mr. Hurt, now when you were coming up, if somebody said you made that up, you fibbed, you lied, aren't those all the same things?
Storyteller.
That's
Mm-hmm.
right. Exaggeration.
Now, again, this is the horrible part. I mean, and it's so much deeper than just the Haitians. You know, it's easy to point out the Haitians because they're black in this particular part of Springfield, which has black residents, but the Haitians are different,
Dave Chappelle lives there.
Yeah. So here's the history with Haiti and, the blockade of Haiti. And the reason, once Haiti got their independence, for those who don't know, Haiti got their independence and they were first country of slaves to do it. And that the rest of the world thought that the other slaves might revolt as well around the world. So they went ahead and blocked Haiti off.
Yep.
Okay. No trade, no they just put an embargo on Haiti. Nothing. Okay. And so Haiti's been living under that for a long time and been self-governed. And now they had this uprising. Now, with this uprising, there are some American companies who shipped over some Haitians. They shipped Haitians over to America and said these people will work where we can't find these Americans who will work and do this. Okay, and they'll work for a wage that these Americans are not willing to take. They come in with asylum.
Yep.
With federal protection, sanctioned by the governor of Ohio, assigned by this mayor, and this company. And when you read all the reports, they do fine work. They show up every day. They're a boost to the economy. Now, people say they're a strain on resources. I mean, and that's just, a buzzword.
Right.
But if they boost the economy, then they boost up the resources.
The resources too. Yeah. You just don't want to share. That's what that
Exactly.
is.
So all the money that the company is putting back into the city, all the money that the people are spending within the city to keep that money revolving, it's good for the city. However, so now you say these Haitians, just blanket Haitians,
Yeah.
pull them out of nowhere in this nowhere town and
Mm-hmm.
saying they're doing something nowhere out of this world, and you're gonna make up stories to get attention, and that definitely got attention.
Sure did.
And now that it's got attention, it's got the type of attention that's making people want to blow up schools.
Yep.
It's make people want to go out and assassinate Haitians. It's want to make people want to go,
Mm-hmm.
uh, attack for taking little Fluffy and little Fido.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where they're not doing this at all.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, again, it's ridiculous that we are the type of people that's gonna believe anything and everything. We got a man that has his own social network and nobody else can be on it.
That's right.
So all he does is spit stuff out of his whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
those who follow him, those Fox News people who put up his dumb little tweets,
Mm-hmm.
and now everybody's following them. But those who sell their souls, it's gonna come back to them.
Yep.
you know. And there's people who are trying to sneak away. They're trying so hard to sneak away. They just haven't figured out how to leave yet,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know. And I'm just waiting. We're all just waiting for this 78-year-old man to do the extra stupid stuff. Well, he's got to hurry up and do it before JD Vance is the next guy.
This is true. This is true. Very scary indeed. I want to switch gears. We have
Yes,
to talk about Middle East war. It is
yes.
still going on. I read a report a couple of days ago, where some of the inspectors were there who were drawing aid. They said some of the places that have been bombed have become almost uninhabitable. And I said, wow. Talk a little bit about it, Mr. Harp.
Uh, you know, what's so confusing is that the need for revenge, the need for retribution. Yes, the October 7th, it happened a long time ago, and all these
Mm-hmm.
secrets come out that Israel was even funding Hamas.
Mm-hmm.
They were allowing, Netanyahu was allowing Hamas
Mm-hmm.
to do what he was doing until they refused to do one extra thing.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have what we have. And what I see is this jumping in, bombing other countries, killing people from other countries for no reason other than to say, well, I heard he was in the basement of that building.
Right.
Our intelligence says that he went to the bathroom in the restaurant across the street. So we shot up the
Mm-hmm.
restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then you kill 15,000 extra people and you say, what?
Right.
You did something to us. We had to do something to you.
Right. While
And
babies and children and old
yeah.
people lay dead in the streets. Yes.
And if you retaliate, then we'll just have to retaliate again.
Right.
And so, there doesn't seem to be an end to it. And America's stuck in the middle because we giving them so much technology, and they get to fight off all the missiles from this dome, from this
Mm-hmm.
defense dome that shoots down all the stuff from our technology. When I say
Right.
our, America, of course, but
Right.
the technology, and we're stuck from
Mm-hmm.
president to president to president to president to president. We stuck in these agreements that we now allowing them to ruin the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we keep saying diplomacy, but he doesn't want diplomacy.
No, not at all.
And he seems, in fact, he comes across as the Israeli Donald Trump,
Yep.
who just will do anything for power, will do
Mm-hmm.
anything to stay in charge and bamboozle whoever's listening to him, all in the
Mm.
name of Israel.
Power.
All in the
Power in
all,
it.
well, they're gonna say it's all in the name of what God
Mm-hmm.
said that we should do.
Mm-hmm.
God told us that we are the chosen ones. And
Right.
that's all in the name of that.
Right.
They're also the chosen ones to destroy the world.
Yes. That's and I will say my response to that is you wanted power. You didn't want fairness. You didn't want equity. You didn't want forgiveness. You wanted power.
Yep.
So I know Ukraine war is still going on. That
Yeah.
sort of died down. They're still fighting. Um, Their president is still asking for funding. It has become controversial. I find that ironic that in the beginning, people were very gung ho to help. Now people are backed off, and I'm just like, okay, well, what's the difference?
Well, one of the things is because Donald Trump and his affinity for Putin
Mm-hmm.
has his people screaming, no more aid, no more aid,
Right.
no more
Right.
aid.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give Ukraine anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And while he comes here and he makes these trips and he stands here speaking so well, um, pleading his cause, Donald Trump behind the scenes has told his Speaker of the House no money.
Right.
Whatever they ask for, no money. And since
Mm-hmm.
Congress controls the money,
Mm-hmm.
again, there's not a lot of people who really understand the workings, the machine, the machinations of how government really works anymore. They don't
Mm-hmm.
show the Saturday morning Schoolhouse Rock. You
Mm-mm.
know,
I'm
the
just a
three
bill. Yes,
the
I'm
three ring
only a
circus.
bill.
Yeah, the three ring circus.
Right.
They'll show us how the three branches of government and what they
Mm-hmm.
do. And
Mm-hmm.
so the president can scream, 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 I need, I need, I need. But if Congress is saying nope,
Too
then
bad.
he can't get anything done.
Right.
And then the judicial system, if they if they're gonna sit back and go on yachts and stay on vacation, they're not doing any cases.
You know,
So it's it's a it's a three ring circus, just like they taught us when we was kids.
right.
You know,
Which, speaking of which, this is our last current event, Mr. Harp. The Republicans are challenging this mail-in ballot um, pr- uh, proposal, or not proposal, process that happens across our nation, where now we have made it more convenient. Which many people will say, "Oh, don't you want to make it convenient?" Well, that means more people will vote. That means people can vote at their convenience rather than on election day. And I have my thoughts on things that should be done on election day. Election day should be a holiday. Everything should be shut down. People should be going to vote. But I know that wouldn't necessarily automatically guarantee that would happen. But I know that Republicans are challenging it and they're making it difficult. Several states, including Texas and others, they have redistricted it, in Georgia as well, where to the point you will have one precinct for several cities. So someone might have to drive 2 hours to go and vote because their precinct has been closed because it's been districted out. And, if people aren't able to vote by ballot, by absentee ballot, or early voting, or any of those mechanisms that they've put together, it is going to be difficult. Someone said, you know, November 5th is coming, but I don't know that we'll know who is going to be the president on the night. And I said, you know what, y'all need to stop. I said, because if we don't know, or at least not have a good idea that it's who we all want it to be, and I'm going to say it because this is my show, Vice President Kamala Harris, we want to say Madam President Harris. If it's looking like it's going to be a longer, I fear violence. I fear um, all types of terrible things happening, to people, to get them to stop from voting, and just to deter us to not move forward. I keep telling everybody, I said January 6th. I said that was a dry run. If you
that was a preview. That was a preview.
Right. That was a preview. And if you paid attention, if they went back and watched some of that, they could see where they made some mistakes and
So
they
all of
could
it was a preview.
pivot. Mm-hmm.
All of it was a preview. The violence was a preview.
Mm-hmm.
The disregard, the turning your back, saying wasn't real, was a preview. The
Mm-hmm.
not doing anything about it
Mm-hmm.
is a preview, because now you won't be able to.
Right.
You see, you know, if we listen, and we have to listen, when he gives these speeches and these little clips that they say, when he's talking to these people and he says, if you vote for me, you'll never have to vote again.
Yes. What does that mean?
What does that mean? That means that he's already setting it up so that I'm going to stay in power forever.
Exactly. You won't ever have to vote
You
again.
won't
Like
ever have to vote again.
you'll lose that right. That's what it means
Right,
to me. Now,
right.
people
Now,
can make up and say, well, that's not what he meant. Well, then he has to explain what he means. Stop trying to excuse his behavior.
This what they call this new word that they call sane washing, trying to make
What is
sense
that?
of what he said.
Oh my
Sane
goodness.
washing is when something is incoherent. Like let's just say they say Kamala Harris was incoherent, and then someone else is going to speak for her. Well, what she meant to say was this,
Oh my goodness. I had
and
not heard
then
that before.
well, this is what's happening because Trump is saying Trump can't keep a sentence together. So now
Mm-mm.
he has his surrogates and he has the TV pundits saying washing and saying, well, this is what he meant to say. And then on the same thing on Kamala Harris's side or Kamala Harris's side, there's certain things that get misconstrued or misinterpreted, and then
Mm-hmm.
someone else comes along and interprets it for her and says, well, this is what she meant to say.
Wow.
And so this little term called saying washing has everybody twisting their heads and saying, well, this is what he said. Well, that's not what he said. That's what somebody else said,
Right. Right.
trying to speak for him,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And you have to listen. So when someone does talk to him, he's on the interview and they say, well, you once said that you would jail all your political opponents or you would and he said, well, many say I have a right to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the answer. First
Yep.
answer is, well,
Yep.
many people say I have a right to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then now it puts the interviewer on some, but what are you gonna do?
Right.
Most people who are interviewing him will be like, ha, 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 ha. So what he's saying, and he didn't say he was gonna do it. He just said many people said he should,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and laugh it off. But see, you can't laugh off he won't do it. We can't take the attitude anymore. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
heard you, but you won't do it because he did it
Right.
behind the scenes. He wasn't
Mm-hmm.
even president,
Mm-hmm.
and he overturned Roe versus Wade and took it back to the states.
He sure did. He sure
No,
did.
so he's not smart enough to put the chess pieces in order. He's a chess piece,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's the people that's behind the scenes. These authors of Project 2025.
Mm-hmm.
These people who are the puppeteers.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Puppet
Trump,
masters. The puppet
the puppet
masters.
masters. The
Mm-hmm.
puppet masters. The Trump is the biggest, most famous puppet out there.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that are behind the scenes, all they have to do is gas his head up to make him think that he's the most important piece on the chessboard.
Right.
You know, thinking that all these little rooks are going to protect him and protect him and protect him. And still, I haven't seen a scar on the ear.
Nope. Not at all. Not at
You
all.
know, he went back to Butler just the other day, Butler,
Yes.
Pennsylvania, and
Mm-hmm.
started off his speech with, "As I was saying,"
See?
and listen, this Corey Comparator, I mentioned this before. Who is this dude?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I don't know who it is,
anybody
but okay.
anybody who loses, listen, he's the one who got shot,
Oh, okay.
protecting his family
Yeah, yep,
while
yep, yep.
Trump got
Mm-hmm.
shot in the ear.
Mm-hmm.
Now, blessed a real guy, if he is blessed his family, no one should have lost their life.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know what widow would let this guy Trump, make a spectacle of her husband twice by
Right.
hanging up a fire coat with his name on it and a fire hat and parading it around on the
Mm-hmm.
stage
Mm-hmm. As a prop. Mm-hmm.
as a prop. I mean, I don't even think this dude existed.
It was
Nobody,
all
it
made up.
was
Mm-hmm.
all made up. And this $1 million check that the widow got is all a show.
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so he used it again.
Yep.
He used it again just the other day in Butler, Pennsylvania. Pulled out this little coat hanger with the fire jacket on it, and did his speech like, "You guys fight for this guy." He never mentioned his name in any other city and time. So
Wow.
I I pray for the people in Florida. I pray for the people in Israel. I pray for the
Mm-hmm.
Palestinians, the I pray for the Lebanese that for the people that are getting bombed all over the place. Um, this world is a horrible place, of course, but as we deal with what's going on here, we got to vote.
Yes,
The
we
only way,
absolutely
the
do.
only way we can do more than pray is to get out there and vote. And
Yep.
I'm with you. I'm with Kamala Harris too. So let that be known.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'd love to see a woman president, the second African American president. Um, and I would love to see the world, flipped on its axis and say, now it's a black person in charge.
Right.
You know,
Come on, get it
and, and,
together.
and now world, let's get it together.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and then you know, chips fall where they may.
Right. Absolutely. Oh, Mr. Harp. So, speaking of getting it together, we
Getting it
got to
together.
we got to talk about fitness.
Yes, we do.
So, is there such a thing as too much exercise for someone? Can someone exercise more than what they should? Is that a thing? I was asked this
Well,
question.
let's get the interpretation right of it, because it's a good question.
Okay.
But exercising too much. Now, if you exercise daily, it's a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's some who do a little bit more exercise than others, but exercising daily is a beautiful thing as long as you can, as long as your body can handle it. And by meaning that, you have to feed your body.
Right.
You have to take care of yourself. You have to eat right. You have to get some sleep. Those things will keep your body moving like a well-oiled machine.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so there's no too much exercise if you're talking in every day. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're exercising incorrectly, or if you're putting on too much weight, if you're not keeping your body in correct alignment as you're trying to progress through different levels, then yes, you can definitely exercise too much and hurt yourself. You can injure
Mm-hmm.
yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not stretching properly, if you're not eating correctly, sleeping correctly, and not having your body in perfect alignment while you're lifting certain weights. Uh, Again, that would depend on exercise. For runners, um, stretching, staying limber, knowing when to stop, staying hydrated.
Mm-hmm.
There's some people who can run 3 miles, and there's
Mm-hmm.
some people who keep attempting to run 3 miles. Um, So you can definitely find a limit and work within your limits. Taking it outside your limits, then I would say do it very slowly. If you have a professional around, use a professional, so you can learn different movements, different areas of your body that you could work on instead of constantly being tight, constantly having to run into a chiropractor. Um, you know, Yoga is a great form of exercise.
Mm-hmm.
And yoga is something that you can do for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, weightlifting, weightlifting is great exercise as well. However, uh, it would be best to know your body and know your limits. And again, know your body proportions and how to stay in alignment. For those who do fitness classes, those are great as well. But however, stretching, knowing your joints and your muscles and how much that you can take and the impact, whether or not you're doing low impact or high impact. Cycling and swimming are things that you can do for the rest of your life. Uh, Low impact. So the answer is there's no, you can't do too much. Okay. You can
Okay.
only do too much strenuous exercise improperly.
What so my next question to you, what would be a healthy balance? So, for example, if someone wanted to lift weights, is it okay? And I know the answer to this, but is it okay to do arms and legs every day? Or should you alternate? Take days off?
Yeah, definitely alternate, because what you're going to
Okay.
need is you're going to need rest, recovery. There's recovery time. So your muscles definitely need to recover. Um, so sometimes for those with certain fitness levels, working out upper body every other day and then alternate with the lower body every other day um, is a good way to work out. Again, there's people who do fitness classes, and if you do fitness classes and you're working a
Mhm.
lot of your arms, your legs as well. And those are usually on an every other day basis as well. But you need rest, you need recovery. So talk with a professional, find out exactly what your goals are, and go ahead and work from there.
Excellent, Mr. Hurt. Thank you for being on the show. That's a great way to end our podcast for today. But before we get out of here, tell us how we can follow you on social media and tell us how we can reach you.
Well, I'm in your social medias is Eric Harp. I'm on your email is ericharp9@gmail. Look me up. You'll find me. And right now I'm educating, teaching young minds, and getting them prepared for the rest of their lives, both physically and mentally.
That's right. That's the biggest muscle that we have, and we got to exercise that muscle, right, Mr. Hurt?
That's right, the biggest muscle we have.
Thank you for being on the show again. We appreciate you being here with us.
Well, thank you very much, Mrs. Davis. I look forward to seeing you next time.
Absolutely. I'm sure we'll have more current events to talk about.
Oh, most
Thank
definitely.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for tuning into the Kim B. Davis Show. You know me, Kim B. Davis, your host. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, or I say Instagram, X or / Twitter, everywhere on your social media. And it's Kimberly Bachelor Davis. Bachelor is spelled BATCHELOR. You can see this show on youtube.com / Kimberly Bachelor Davis. You can hear this show on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google, and Wisdom. And you can learn more about me as an author at kimbdavis.com. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you'll join us on our next episode. And as always, remember, be magnificent.